happening here? Because this is the same as I've done every week. And I don't know why, what's going on. This is really strange. Yeah, it says we're live now. Visibility is unlisted. Public. Why is the visibility? I don't understand why the visibility is that. Hang on a sec. I can't change it.
Maybe you have to get out of it before you do it, or is it on the current live stream?
Publish. That's better. Hopefully we should be able to see people now. Or people can see us because we're now public.
Yeah. I've just had the notification come through, so.
How very strange.
Someone just messaged me saying, hurry up, my podcast is about to start.
Yeah, no, we're live now, so we're public, we're ready. Everything is tickety-boo.
We just have no one in the forum.
That's weird. It says so, it's there, I can see it.
Yeah. Dave, it's working, I think, now.
There's one. That's it. Now the people are coming in. That's better. What a technical issue that was.
What a meltdown.
Oh, tell you what, thank God for that. There's people joining us. Hello, good evening. No, cheers, Jack. Yeah, thanks.
You're about to say good morning as well. Your head's coming off.
What's all that about? It's only taken me 4 minutes to get started out. It's because it was, but the visibility was, whatever it was. It was hidden. So I do apologise. Good evening, one and all. But most importantly, good evening, the 2023 Quattro Plant British Supersport Champion, Mr. Ben Curry.
How are you doing? How's everyone doing? I've been already getting abused because we're late to the show, so it's just a standard Tuesday night action on live. No scripts, no nothing. And like someone said in the comments just a moment ago, did anything happen on the weekend? Question mark.
This is going to be, mate, this is a 10-minute show.
There's not a lot happened really, did it? No. Thanks for the I just want to say thanks for obviously the kind words of support and stuff like that for getting the job done on the weekend. Dave, you're obviously there. You were buzzing. We're all buzzing. So yeah, I'm over the moon. I'm in an extra happy mood right now for this one. That's for sure.
You're not hungover then?
No, I'm not hungover. Only a couple of beverages last night, hence why the show didn't go out. It was meant to go out last night, and I completely forgot.
Funniest phone call I think I've ever had. Fuck, mate, I'm pissed.
I'd only had 3 drinks, but yeah, I'd forgotten about the podcast. Drinks,
but they were that big.
That's funny, yeah. It's all professional this end, you know what I mean?
Full send. That's what it is. Full send.
It's all good.
Look at all these people joining in. Look at this. This is fantastic. All these people that are passing on. Look, all these congratulations. Because, dude, you is a champion at last. Well done, mate. Well deserved. I couldn't be more proud of you. Jennifer, myself, it was a privilege to be there to see you do it. I know what it's taken this year and how difficult it's been for you and for the team and to develop the V2 Panigale. You should all be rightly proud of yourselves to become 2023 Supersport champions. Tell us about the day. Tell us about the race and how you were feeling on the slowdown lap and having the family there. And we met your dad at the weekend, which is super cool as well. He's a great fella. So tell us about it from your side, mate.
Yeah, what a whirlwind. I mean, for me, I was very relaxed coming into the weekend. I felt like I had a job to do. I had 2 races to race at a track that I feel pretty confident at, with a bike that's a lot better than what last time we were there with. And so I felt like there was an opportunity, and I was excited to sort of go about my business. Obviously, knowing what's at stake, not being complacent at the same time. But yeah, I was very much just immersed in trying to win 2 races. And fortunately enough, I did that. It's not often plans sort of, things go to plan like they did so well. Pole position, both fastest laps in both races, both wins. I mean, it was the perfect weekend. And just to top it off, brought home a number one place. So it was, yeah, I think the winning the championship on the Saturday was obviously a little bit unexpected. Obviously, things needed to go my way for that to happen. But I just set off about my business. I said to the boys, look, I'm just going to go and try and win. Simple as that. I'm not going to do anything. Everyone's stressing out, saying, yeah, but you just need 2 fourth places. Well, yeah, I know that. But if I change what I'm doing now, that's when things are going to go wrong. So the plan was to go and win the races in the most risk-free manner possible. And then I made a mistake early, ran off. 4 people come past me, and I thought, okay, it's not going to be as smooth sailing as what I envisioned. But once I'd actually settled into the race, and luckily the long race which suited me was on the Saturday. So normally we have the sprint race, which is a bit hectic, and it might have been a different story if it was a sprint race. But because it was the long feature race, I was able to settle in, assess everything that was going on, see what pace everyone had. I knew the 4 of us had checked out pretty quickly. So I thought, okay, I'm comfortable because right now I'm in the position to win the championship this weekend. If I finish here, I'm still in a position to win the championship. So I relaxed and hit my marks, and the next thing I just started picking them off one by one, and literally stormed home to like nearly a 3-second win. Like it just crazy. Like just the way it happened. I don't want to be stupid and say it was easy, but the funny thing is
Go
about
on, I
this
dare
sport.
you.
The funny thing about this sport is when it's going good, it is easy and it feels easy. But when it's going bad, it's the hardest thing ever, and it's probably like many other sports. When you're in that rut and you're struggling and your back's against the wall and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and you think, what am I doing this for? You literally, it's like having Everest in front of you. But when you go and do what I did on the weekend, it's like, that was easy. Do you know what I mean? I'll go again tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a bizarre feeling. But with so much at stake, I was very proud of the way I was able to turn up, not be overwhelmed, not be too excited, go about my business. The team didn't miss a beat. They never do. Absolutely faultless. Everyone had their feet on the ground and we got the job done. So, I'm so, what's the word, privileged or grateful for the opportunity that I've had this year to be able to showcase my skills. Like, let's not forget 12 months ago where I was. I was struggling to exactly what I just spoke about. I was struggling to even envision a proper result, like a result where I wasn't blowing out of me hoop in 3 laps. Actually being able to tuck in on a motorbike nice and efficiently, being able to move from one side to another, back shift 3 gears without missing a gear shift. Like literally, I didn't know. I thought I could be finished because my back is absolutely finished. My health was just fully deteriorated, and it is. It's hard to see the light at that point. And now fast forward the clock 12 months, and I'm finding this groove at the moment that I just feel like I'm on a crest of a wave of confidence. We've literally dominated the last half of the season with all my wins coming in this last part. We're up to 14 podiums. What podium? We're up to 14 podiums for the season. Like it's hard to, although we always start the season with the intentions that we're going to become British champion or world champion, whatever class we're in. It's like a long way away from when you do that first race. You're like, yeah, I want to be British champion, but that's like 6-7 months away. There's a lot to happen before then.
22
So it's
races,
hard to
isn't
envision.
it?
Pardon?
22 races.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's hard to envision. All our intentions are the same, but sometimes actually seeing it and being able to do it is completely different. And like I wouldn't have been able to picture the situation that I'm in now 12 months ago. But I think what I did really well this season, and I know I'm just rambling now. I'm giving you my life story. I do apologize. You know, I just stuck to the process and the work, and I enjoyed all the little milestones, PBs in the gym, getting my mobility back, my flexibility, my strength, my fitness, working with my trainer, Kirk, every week, getting the best out of me with what I had and what was available at the time. There was still times at the start of this season where we were doing very basic things in the gym that, you know, that you'd question, hang on, is he an athlete? Like, is he a motorcycle athlete, or is he is he like in a life, does he live in a nursing home and he's come here for his weekly tune up, you know what I mean? So
Read your boss's comment.
what did he just say?
Have you got the comments turned off?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
He told me he was a fit and healthy rider when I signed him.
Do you know something, right? So I've been pretty good all season to not sort of let on about anything and keep quiet and feel happy, because genuinely, my delusional head, I thought, well, we'll do a preseason and we'll get to the new year and I'll be brand new. But the reality was like pretty different. By the time we got to sort of Spain, and like I actually rehearsed this I said to Kirsty, under no circumstances do you ever let on in the gym that I go home and my back can't move and I've literally got no mobility. I need 3 days of physio to even sort of get back into the gym. Then we can start the training process again, and then we have to taper and save my energy ready for the next race. Otherwise, I've got no hope. Like, I've got a problem. You know what I mean? I've got a sore back. My riding style's changed a bit, things like that. But let me just race this season on the basis of my racing ability with no excuses. So then no one could lean on an excuse. No one could say so potentially at the start of the season.
Is that your signal or mine?
Someone rang me.
Ah.
Have you got me? Hello.
Are you there?
Oh, no.
You're still there, mate, but your camera's gone off. But
I don't know what's
while you're figuring that out, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thank you very much, and especially Steve Wilfmore. Wilf, congratulations again on the weekend and the championship for Ben, and the performance of Christian as well, mate. Chuffed to bits for the whole team. While Ben figures his way around what to do this, I'm going to go and he's left. Brilliant. So I'm going to run solo on this one. I have to say hello to Faith. Faith, good evening. I hope you're well. There's a couple of other bits coming through. Craig, I'll ask about the gentleman's set when he returns. I'm hopeful that he will be able to return at some point and just join in. Otherwise, this is going to be like the Dave Neal show, which I'm kind of not too good with. Will, you asked about lower classes getting coverage. Is that through us or generally speaking? Here he is. He's back again. There we go. Hopefully we can. Oh, there he is.
I was really getting pretty mad then, because I can't leave on that note, because I'm trying to explain my story to Wilf here, because one, I don't want to be sacked before the end of the year, and I don't want to be sacked for next year as well. But the reality is, I'm not obviously, I wasn't intending on lying or anything like that. I just wanted to be judged on my ability of riding. I didn't want to. The first part of the season was hard for us, and at no point did I want somebody to turn around and say, maybe it's his back, that's why they're struggling. You know what I mean? Because that wasn't the case. We didn't struggle as such, but it was a difficult part of the season where we had to work really hard. But everyone put all their effort into developing me and developing the bike. Where if you throw another thing in that mix where you say, oh, but the question mark is it the bike? Or is it the back? And then all of a sudden your judgment and your everything sort of gets clouded. And I didn't want any of that. And yeah, sure enough, the winds started rolling in, and then the complaints started getting more and more. Oh, my back, only if my back was good. Imagine that. We would have won every race.
Imagine if you'd have started the season fit.
Yeah. Next year, Wilf, you got to pay me loads of money, because I'm going to be so fit and I'm going to be so strong that no one's going to win a race anymore. So
That was quite telling from Will, what he just put there. We told you the bike was mega at the start too. That took half a season as well. Brilliant. Oh, mate, no, it was fantastic to see it all come together for you. When you go back to the conversation we had at Cadwell Park last year, we've had some, I think, 4 chats over the year. We've had some really good chats. We spoke first at Silverstone a couple of years ago as you were fighting for the Supersport crown then. Then we spoke at the NEC before, as you got the Moto Zoo ride. Then we spoke again at Cadwell when things went a bit pear-shaped, and you were in the lowest ebb I'd ever seen you. And now, what are we now? 13 months down the line, just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So we're as a podcast, Jennifer and I and Matt and everybody involved, absolutely delighted for you and the team, mate. It's absolutely fantastic.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you need double doors now at home, or are you doing all right with it?
The what?
Do you need double doors now, or are you doing okay?
What's that mean?
Big head.
Yeah, I'm a big head. Yeah.
Kirsty knows.
Kirsty knows. No, my head's no bigger. I'm just more I'm more entitled. That's all I am now, because I've got the crown. You know what I mean? I've done it. Do you know what I mean? So I can.
You've got the crown, the gold helmet, and the gold number 1.
So I'm just more entitled now.
Just one question I've seen go through there from Mrs. J. Who would be your perfect teammate and why?
Oh, okay. Well,
if you could pick one. I'm just going to throw randoms in from what I can see.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, like this season with the Superbike Supersport thing in the garage has worked really well. Like Christian is a phenomenal teammate, because there's no drama. There's no. He's been around the game. He's not an idiot, and it's nice to be around that. That somebody. No ego, no trying to belittle you, no nothing. Full support, help, whatever you want, it's there, and vice versa. We're both there for each other. We both support each other, and we have the best interest in mind, and that's to get results as a team for everyone, because everyone's a winner then. So that is almost like, honestly, it's the perfect scenario for me, and I personally would love to work with him longer into the future if that's possible. Obviously, that's out of my control. So, in that sense, I would probably say, Christian's the perfect one. If I was to pick a teammate that actually sits next to me in the garage and is in my class and on a Supersport bike, I would want to maybe see. There's 2 ways of looking at it. There's the like, bring them all on. Bring the best person that you can get. Let's sit him next to the garage, and I want to test myself every weekend, and I want to beat the best guys. So bring the best rider you can that's going to push me 100% and take me to the next level, because I have to, because I respond to that a lot. But then there's a big part of me that's like, I'm loving what's going on at the moment. It would be cool to maybe bring somebody on that will be given a really big opportunity, like I've had in my careers. At pivotal points where I'm up and coming, and I've had this big opportunity, this big break to work with such a professional team like Moto Rapido, that maybe they can learn and grow, and they can chase me, and they can maybe potentially learn off me if that's possible. So there's that option. So I'd probably like to see maybe more so that, like, a young, hungry, proper doer of the future sit next to me. Who that is, I don't know.
Jesus, mate, it's taken 5 minutes to answer that question, and you still didn't give us a name.
A name? I don't know. Someone fast.
Someone.
So look at. I don't know. I don't want to say a name, because then people think, he's riding for Moto Rapido next year, and then
There is that. Just Hammy keeps chipping in with Doris and Daisy having an evening chat over a cup of tea.
Yeah, that's us.
God bless him. That's what it is. So,
you know what's funny, right? He's that thick. He just rang me and cut me off the stream.
How on earth does he do that? He knows we're talking.
Yeah.
Some good names coming through. Jack Nixon, Cam Dawson. Some good fast young lads out there, and they're 2 of them.
Yeah, 100%. Some stock 600 lads are not going to have rides next year. They're going to need Supersport bikes, and Yeah, there's
Ryan
definitely,
Garside promoting himself.
yeah. there's
Good lad.
definitely riders out there, isn't there? So, um, you know, it'd be interesting because look, like, I'm interested to see all that happen, that conversion from the stock 600 to the super sport and stuff next year, because there's obviously going to be a lot of lads doing it, I
Yeah,
suppose.
I think there is. There's going to be an influx, isn't there? Depending on who goes to the sport bike class, who goes into super sport. Yeah, Owen Jenner's another one. There are some fast young lads that are the future of the sport. Go on, dude.
I just want to answer one of these questions. I just read it while you were talking. Then, is thoughts on the grid being full of Dukes next year, as super stock is full of Hondas, or are they too expensive to run and compared to the Triumphs, Yams, and Quackers?
Great question.
That's the big. Is it misconception? Is that the right word? I think that is. Where people think that the Ducati must just cost an absolute bomb to ride, but the reality is, if you ride a Yamaha, you have to do 3 or 4 major engine refreshes a season, and they're highly tuned engines to get the speed out of them, because that's super sport class. That's how it's always been. So you run the risk of an engine dropping a valve or something like that, or reaching its mileage, and then you need to put a new engine, and that might cost you 4 or 5 grand to do it to the highest level to be able to
Yeah.
compete for championships. Then you've got the bike itself. Yamahas aren't cheap. The parts, etc. You've got the general maintenance and the running cost of it, which is the same as any other bike. So a Ducati will do a whole season on an engine. It's stock. It's detuned. So the balancing rules mean that the engine has to be sort of tailored back to suit the same sort of power curve as such, in basic terms of a highly tuned R6, Kawasaki, etc. So the ECU that's put on the bike doesn't allow, obviously, the bike to have its max potential. So it's like anything. You drive a car down the motorway on cruise control at 65 mile an hour. Well, you're going to get a lot more miles out of something that's ragged around town or ragged down the motorway at 90 mile an hour. So that's the reality of it. Yeah, you can go crazy with the build of the bike, and you can build it like Moto Rapido build it, but they're a Ducati dealership and a top-level superbike team. That is their brand. They are going to produce the best bike that is physically possible and legal to run. So in terms of somebody that wants to start Supersport next year, they can buy a Ducati. They don't need the full titanium kits, the exhaust systems, this, that, and the other. They can build a good enough bike to be competitive enough for the top 5 podium even wins at maybe half or 3/4 of the cost. I won't say half, because Wilf will be literally having a heart attack now, thinking, well, why the hell do I spend all this money if you can build a bike half the price? I can almost hear him like that now. I could. You go and build one then and do it yourself. But that's, just in general terms, that's the reality of where Supersport is, and people get it a little bit mixed up, that actually the old school way is the more expensive way.
Yeah, it's incredible how things have changed, isn't it? It really is. It makes it makes sense to do. I don't profess to know much about the technical side. Some would argue that I don't profess to know much about anything, but that's another story. But certainly the technical side,
That's why you got a podcast.
That's why those that do, those that don't, just sit here and talk about it. We'll come on to the weekend, the other weekend action shortly. But I was just looking at what Will had written there about the lower classes not getting the coverage that they deserve. It's like Moto 2, Moto 3, and the smaller classes in BSB. I think it's basically time. It's the TV time really that struggles to get the coverage, because they've got a finite amount of time in an afternoon. The bulk of the audience are tuning in for MotoGP, for Superbikes, and probably Supersport. But Superstock, both Superstock championships, plus Moto 2, Moto 3. There's a lot of us that watch all of them. and they don't get the coverage, which is why sometimes we try and talk about them on here. But even we run out of time. We could do a 3-hour podcast tonight, covering the whole of MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, the support classes in BSB and at World Superbikes. But it's just a matter of time to cover it. I watched most of them. I'm not a big fan of Junior Supersport. I might get sort of pitchforked for that, but it's not around next season anyway. But it's given us some super riders. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one for that, Will, because it's more down to time than anything else. Even the proper MotoGP coverage doesn't really kick in too far with the Moto2 and Moto3 coverage. But we'll try and change that at some point in time. Craig, 3 hours on just Tommy and Glenn. Yeah, we could do.
Try and not do that this time. Last time we did a whole podcast on what was said at Alton Park, and
here we are. We had more
are.
people for that one. We've got 61 people viewing this one. I think we topped at 90, 96 on the previous one. Maybe everybody's just busy. Maggie, why don't I like it? I don't know. It's a difficult. I don't know. It just hasn't appealed to me. It's not. It's a great class. It's produced Owen Jenner. It's produced, I think, Cam Dawson and some other really good riders. Sean Silvera Adventures at the bottom there. Junior Supersport is terrifying. It is. That's probably one of the reasons. But it's produced some good riders. It's just my own personal view on it. Owen Jenner is a former champion. I think James McManus, was champion. There's some really good riders come from it.
Tell you the riders coming out of it. It's just your humble opinion on what you'd rather watch and tune into.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, it is.
It's nothing to do with riders or anything like that.
Oh no, definitely not that. Definitely not that. What else happened at the weekend? Much?
I don't,
can't think of anything, can you?
A fair bit happened. I think what's amazing about the whole thing that's going on at the moment is like Superbike is box office at the moment, isn't it? Because you've got some characters running around at the front, and they're not afraid to say stuff. They're not afraid to do things, and it is making for some really entertaining TV. The new point system has really allowed the championship to really stay close and competitive for the duration of the season, with no technical showdown where the points are reset for the last 3 rounds. So in terms of the spectacle and BSB absolutely providing the entertainment, it's unbelievable at the moment. Everyone's talking about it across the world of racing. Twitter, Instagram, everyone's putting their 2 cents into the pot. And why wouldn't you? Because it's entertainment. And the incidents that occurred on the weekend, we had mixed weather conditions, so we had tire gambles. And let me tell you, when you are going for a championship, the last thing you want is a tire gamble, because if you get it wrong, it can cost you so bad, and you've not even really done anything other than pick a tire. So it's a real shame to have sort of mixed conditions as a rider when you're battling for, trying to nick a point here and there all season. You go and get these oddball results. However, that obviously played out the way it did. Both Tommy and Glenn did the safe route. And I think Shaky summed it up the best on the weekend. They're that interested in each other that they've sort of taken their eye off what was actually happening in front of them. They were only going to choose the same tyres as each other. They were never going to go on opposite tyres, because, again, my point being that you're trying to battle for a point, half a point all season. You get the tyre choice wrong, it could be a 25-point haul, just like that, for nothing other than just getting the tyres wrong. So you literally may as well sit back in the. If you get it wrong, you may as well go back into the pit box and sit there and hope. So for them to choose the same tyres was an obvious situation that was going to occur, but it was the wrong tyre choice. So if they maybe just focused a little bit harder on actually what do I need to do to get the best out of this right now, we might have, it might have been a different story. But it was what it was. So then all the competitors, I think Leon maybe got the best of that situation, got a bunch of points back. He's right back in the title fight again. And then Was it race 2 that it was curtains down in Melbourne Loop? I think it was race 2, wasn't it? And then
Yeah.
the rain came in halfway through that race. Tommy's come from last on the grid. It starts spitting, and Tommy's like, well, I'm just gripping it and ripping it. Glenn's got to the front, and he sort of rolled the gas a little bit. He's not riding to his max potential because, well, he's leading. He has no reference. He doesn't know how hard to push. If you've ever been in that situation, honestly, it's one of the toughest things as a motorcycle rider to do. Mental rain, they call it. You see the rain dripping down your visor or dripping down your screen on your bike, and you think, wow, at 140 mile an hour, that looks like a lot of rain. It looks like a sheet of water. But it is just in between the ears, and a few people took that opportunity and sort of went hard. So the race like ebbed a bit. The pace went up, the pace went down as the rain came in. The pace went up and again, and then Tommy hits to the front, and everyone's backed up because the rain came down quite heavy at that point. And that was almost like a switch, and everyone was like, right, we can push again now. Kyle literally turns off the curb through the chicane. He turns off the curb so tight, which means one thing: full of confidence that there's grip. There's 100% grip. If you're turning off curbs in those conditions, you know something that the other people don't know, and that's that there's grip. So it was almost like this big gaggle, like a Moto 3 type style bunch of riders heading up into Melbourne Loop, and then Glenn just maybe hesitates just a touch, breaks a little bit early. He has a look over his shoulder. I don't know if anyone's seen that. He looks over his shoulder. Kyle's coming up the inside. But Bridewell's following Kyle through. And then Glenn, you know, in his defense, has no idea this is going in behind him. He hasn't got rear view mirrors. As he comes back onto the line, Bridewell knows from probably 10 meters back that he's in a world of hurt. And it looks a lot worse than it is. But the reality is he's missed his braking marker by that much, or he's hit his braking marker and Glenn's broke that much early. And with the pack being so condensed because the pace is slow due to the weather, that's obviously created this colossal F up. That's what I want to say. So, yeah, and then she's all she wrote, and then the box office ratings went through the roof when it was scrapping in the gravel trap. But that was the pay-per-view section that everyone wanted. We wanted to see more of that bit. But
mate,
yeah,
we got a ringside seat for that because we were stood on the outside of the loop, not the paddock side. We were stood on the outside of the loop, pretty level with the apex of the loop itself, and watched it all unfold. It was difficult to understand in real time what had happened in the actual incident itself, but what happened after.
Okay, so
hang on.
There's some things going around. Did you see something that no one else has?
I saw a few things that nobody else had because the cameras had gone by then.
Okay,
The cameras were back. The cameras were back following the race. Now, in my view, Glenn did put his hands on Tommy's helmet.
Okay.
Okay, he didn't rag him about, but he sort of got his hands on his helmet and then stopped.
Okay.
For me, massive no-no. I've never been in that position, and I know what you're going to say on this. But from my perspective as a non-racer with a third the adrenaline that you guys have got, you cannot, under any circumstances, touch another rider after a crash unless he is stood up giving you the bird. Go back to, I mean, even though they got points for it, I'm not advocating this, but when Seeley and Alex, they were both stood up, so you know he's not injured. But Tommy took a fair old whack when he went down. He went over the front of the bars and he slid for quite a bit, and he stayed down, and he was quite winded. So rolling down,
he played dead because he didn't want to see Glenn.
See, there's a racer's point of view.
Yeah.
Yes, Rick, he did get points on his license for that, and so did Tommy. Glenn got 2, and Tommy got 3. But after that, as the cameras had gone back to the racing, Glenn was remonstrating with Tommy for ages. Absolutely. He was giving it the bird. He was giving it what for. And Tommy basically, once the marshals had helped Tommy to his feet and was trudging through the gravel trap, he was giving so much grief. Glenn was giving so much grief to Tommy. Tommy just looked at him and went, "Come on, then." In the middle of the
really?
Yeah. But even then, as Glenn got into the paddock area, you could see him the other side of the fence by the toilets. He was still giving it the old coffee beans. He's like, hold on a minute. How far away are you? You've made your point. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a racer, so I can only say it as I see it. And it is different for a racer, but mate, there were kids watching, and there's a championship on the line, and all this zen and super calm and everything else.
I think it's the first time we've seen Glenn crack, and I've been the first one to sort of praise Glenn this season with how his new calm approach has been working from him. And I think I came on here and said it that I felt like Glenn had the upper hand leaving Alton Park, where Bridewell was very much the rattled cage. He'd come out in the press and said all the things that he said. He was giving it the big one. And Glenn was kind of like, just like, you know what I mean? I'm just going to go about my business. Now, obviously the circumstances have changed. The circumstances are a lot different. Glenn has very much got a right to be quite disgruntled, let's say.
No argument with that at all.
No argument at all. But like you say, hearing that, because I'm hearing this for the first time, sort of like 10 minutes after the fact, still giving it the big ones, is obviously like, it's almost like a meditated sort of attack. It's like you've had time to think and move on, it's, go back to your motorhome and trash that, or, do whatever you've got to do in your own time, but have a level of sort of professionalism, I guess. And it's a shame, really, because like I said, Glenn, I felt like has been sort of ticking that box all year, and maybe this has just made him crack a little bit because, again, like getting T-boned like that does send a absolute wave of adrenaline through you. Like I've been T-boned in that, and you're going about your business, you're tipping into a corner, next thing wallop, and you have no idea what's just hit you. It is quite a scary thing, and obviously, chemically, somewhere there in between the ears, it's triggered a psychotic nerve, and he wants to soccer kick Bridewell's
I
head
honestly
through
thought he was going to. The way he went across, I'm like, oh no, don't do that. It just looked like he was winding up for a punt.
Yeah. I think he wanted to do a lot of things, and then but anyway, look, what's said and done is done. It's interesting. Like, I'm very interested to see how that relationship sort of progresses. Now we're going into the final round. It's all to play for. And this is what I don't want to change the subject. I want to talk about this point, but from a different perspective. Obviously, we're not sure what's happening next season with the PBM team officially. There's rumors, there's all sorts of things happening. We're not sure who their riders are. Nothing's been announced as far as I'm concerned. But when you listen to the interviews, you very much get two different interviews. You get an interview from a rider that is very much for himself, and then you have an interview from somebody that's very much for the team. Now, if I was a betting man, I would say the person talking more about the team has a contract on the table and the other person may not. So that's me reading between the lines, being sort of conspiracy theorist sort of style point of view. But is that a sign or a clue that maybe PBM are coming back next year and only one of them are going to be signed up next year? Because if you look ahead and you look at next year and one of the PBM guys win the championship, can you forget about what's happened the last 3 rounds in terms of harmony in the team, professionalism, and moving forward as a professional unit? Can you have them line up next to each other next year in the same team again? Unless you build a wall, I'm not too sure that that's going to work.
No, I can't see it. One thing that I can say is that and take from this what you will, that some point in December we will have Jordan and Frank on the podcast at some point in December. I spoke to Frank Jr. on Sunday, and we will have them on once everything is settled and they know exactly what they're on. So read into that what you will about next season, but I would suspect they wouldn't be coming on if they weren't.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I think it was nice to catch up with Frank at the weekend. He's doing all right in the wake of losing his dad. It's going really well. But yeah, mate, Brands is going to be.
I just answer this question quickly. Dave
Go.
Labeled. The comment is Miss J. Observation: Jordan Bird always seems to brolly for Glenn rather than Tommy. Is that favoritism? I wouldn't read too much into that because obviously Tommy's wife Stacey has always brollied for Tommy, and I think riders are pretty superstitious. Like Kirsty's always brollied for me. I wouldn't change that. You know what I mean? For no reason.
I've tried.
I think Glenn. I have I don't really see Mrs. Broly for him too often. So I dare say that there's nothing in that. I wouldn't look too much into that. But we do like a conspiracy theory, though. We do like it, and we do like rumors. We do like making them.
We love the rumors. And just as a reply to your boss for the Triumph top that I've got on, it was free, so I'm going to wear it.
Did you mention the Triumph thing? Yeah.
And they and they paid the bill that I sent them for the videos that I've done recently. So I'm happy to wear it just as a nod to them. And if there's a Ducati one going, I'm a size medium and I'll be at Brands, Wilf. And yes, I am a size medium Dave. I mean, it's thrown the championship wide open, hasn't it? One thing that it really, I really felt for Leon and Kyle in race 3. Leon especially, because that would have really thrown things into the mix. Ifs and buts and pots and pans, it didn't. I get that. But when you look at the championship now, where Glenn's 7.5 back, Kyle rides 35 back from Tommy, but that's a race win now.
Yeah,
going into Brands, 35 points is a race win. That's 105 points that's up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoke to Leon off sort of off the record / behind closed doors, and obviously wouldn't mind me saying that he is uber. Ben is selling Ducati shirts with a big gold number 1. Yeah, merchandise coming soon, guys. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll drop a link very soon. Got to cash in, Dave.
Damn right.
Yeah, but talking to Leon, sort of behind closed doors, and it's affected him. The result on. I think people forget like what goes into this. Like Leon hasn't been in the conversation about a championship, but let me tell you, he's been grinding his ass off. He's running his own team. He's putting all his own effort, his own guys. He's paying all these people to be there. He is running that team. Steve, I'm going to mute Steve in these comments.
200 grand for his t-shirt. True enough.
Yeah, and oh man, United just scored. Great.
I think football was on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, so he's had 6 DNFs this season due to mechanicals. He's like he looked at me like a little puppy dog with tears in his eyes, like 6 mechanicals, man, 6. He said, and motorcycle racing it's a brilliant game in hindsight. You look at everything in hindsight and you think, well, if that didn't happen, that happened. Well, if things didn't happen in my championship, I would have wrapped it up at Alton Park. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them. It's like you said, if buts and maybes, it is. But the reality is, Leon's found himself in a title fight all of a sudden, and if that result had gone slightly different, he would be going to Brands with a really realistic chance in becoming a two-time champion and nicking it off the PBM guys at the final hurdle. But
He's been in that situation before, though. He's been the hunted.
Been the guy. He's been the guy.
He's been the hunted and lost out. He knows how that feels. So all he's got to do is keep on that grind. It's absolutely not over yet.
It's not. It's not. The thing I'll say with that is it's different when two people are going for it. But the thing is, Tommy and Glenn are going for it. So the likelihood of them both slipping up at the exact same time, and obviously it happened this weekend, but the likelihood of it happening like that again is very slim. And I think he's a realistic guy. He's been around the game longer than anyone at the top level. And he knows his chances are pretty well shot after that engine let go and that DNF. But crazier things have happened in the world of racing. So, who knows? I think it's going to be an absolute fascinating finale. That's for sure.
Oh, mate, I can't wait. It's going to be immense. Looking at some of the comments, I know Franco Bourne had a great weekend on the Pathway bike. There's some notable Jason O'Halloran getting a win. Your teammate on the podium twice, which was brilliant to see. Definitely. After a couple of tricky rounds for him and a raft of 7th places. I think he was absolutely stuck in 7th at one point. But that's so good for Wilf and for Ian and the team. Just a couple of Ian Marshall. No, not every, on 94 bobble hats. No, 3 bobble hats. No, not every viewer gets a bobble hat. Even we didn't get any at the weekend. We sold out by 11:15 on the Saturday morning. So the demand was good. The demand was good.
Brilliant. Hopefully my gold t-shirts do the same.
Your gold t-shirts, they went really quickly. They went really good. Are you going to put some out as some proper merchandise? Mate, you've gone dead again. That's brilliant. You're just looking at me longingly with those dark eyes. It's you've frozen, mate, completely. So I guess you're going to disappear and come back in again, and just see where you've gone. It's a good job Ben doesn't have any bogies. It is when he's frozen like that, mate. You've completely frozen. It's the whole of the show are looking right up your nose, mate. This is fabulous. He probably has had another call, Craig. Maggie, we'll have some big bobble hats at Brands. Absolutely, we will. Thank you, Jennifer. Difficulty tonight. We've got a bit of a logistics thing. No, that's not Hammy again. This is big bobble hats, I think. Oh no, for the phone call, it probably is, Craig. We've got a logistic thing tonight. I'm over in Lincolnshire, over at my mum's house, because we're going over to not me and my mum, but we as a podcast are back over at Laceby Manor tomorrow. We're over with Mick Grant. So we've got a big chat with Mick tomorrow. Jennifer's back home in Lancashire, full of cold, full of sore throats and everything else. So get well soon, Jennifer, and thank you for your help tonight. Even though you're 110 miles away, I'll be home on Thursday. We've got some great chats coming up. I've spoken to Carl Fogarty today. We're going to see him the week after Brands. We're going to see a gentleman called Charlie Williams early in November, 9 times TT winner, absolute legend of the sport. Hello, mate. Welcome back.
Mate, I died. I'm so sorry.
Just going through some of the guests we've got coming up over the next few weeks, and then hopefully we can get something in person before you head off to Australia. When are you going?
Did I miss? What did you say? Sorry.
I've just been singing your praises as always, mate. How good you are. How everybody's been looking up your nose that it's a good job the back cave's clear and all that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
You froze beautifully with it.
Was it bad? Was it? Oh dear God.
It needed screenshotting. Thanks, Andrew. We enjoyed the shows with Roger and Reg. That was pretty cool. Gaz, if I had any hats with me, you could, but I don't have them with me. So I do enjoy Laceby Manor, Ian, but it's just an easy place. So we kicked Roger out of his office over the spa, and we'll be sat with Mick Grant tomorrow afternoon. Another one with Matt and Ben.
Done.
Matt Dunn. Yeah, he's jetting off all over. I was thinking, which Matt then? I've only been speaking to him this afternoon. He's jetting off all over the world.
Hey, Dave, can I just
lately.
go on the record and do this public so we can get him, name and shame him? So if he does back out, everyone knows that he's a back out. We want to get Wilf. We want to get Steve Moore on the podcast at Brands Hatch to talk techie, talk about our season, talk about how much it cost him to run me for a season. And it's a good chance for you, Wilf, to cry poor to everyone, tell everyone how hard it is.
And I promise I won't wear a Triumph t-shirt.
And I can plug my shirts a little bit more, and hopefully they'll be online, ready for sailing, and I can pay me bills. That's what I was about to say. As my phone went dead, I was like, please buy my shirts. I need to pay my bills.
I tell you, if we get Wilf, we get Ian on. If Scott Smart's available, it'll be great to understand the tech side of it. That's for sure.
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading comments. Sorry.
You did well with the shoey. Let's be fair. I was proud of that.
Yeah, I'm just reading.
I knew he'd want money.
The what? Sorry, appearance fee.
I knew he'd want money.
He obviously hasn't grasped the concept of podcasts. So basically, what you do you come onto a podcast free of charge and you publicize yourself for free. It's free advertisement. That's what every podcast host said. In your garage with all your sponsors, like we did at Knockhill. Yeah, that was when we had Oxford products in the background, and that was all free advertising. You doing podcasts in your team shirt with all the team sponsors on it. Live negotiation, like it's all there. This is first-hand stuff. This is like how in depth the sort of negotiations go for contracts and stuff like that. This is how it exactly happens. Right. Just happens to be in a public forum. Pete McCleary, that's a great shout on Ian Simpson. I'll add him to the list. Thank you. We're going to do that at some point. We'll put a list out of who you'd like to see on the podcast. If you're good at something, never do it for free. I'm learning that, Will. I'm learning that. That's why Triumph paid me to do what I did with the videos recently. So I'm quite pleased with that. This is a whole different ballgame. But yeah, we could do with getting some more guests on as well. We could do with a second chat with Leon at the end of the season. That'd be good. And I'll tell you what I'd like to back that up with. I'd like to back that up with a chat with Ron as well. It's a long, long time since I've sat down with Ron. We'll get it organised. We'll go over to the farm and we'll get it done. It'd be a nice way to do what we did with the season. It's been an incredible journey from that first podcast that we did with Leon at his place, wasn't it? So we've come a long way since then. A lot's happened. It'd be cool to sit down and talk to him, because before then, a lot of it was uncertain what he was actually doing still at that point, with the whole rocket thing, the BMW thing. So it'd be interesting to hear what he's sort of mustering up for the future. There's a lot of noise sort of coming out of that area about Supersport bikes, and he's obviously his what do they call that, development team, like it's obviously Stock 600 and stuff like that. So academy team. Yeah, his academy team. So it's it'd be interesting to sit down with him and speak to him about that. But to be honest with you, I'm more interested. I'm more keen to sit down and talk to Wilf about some stuff on this podcast, because I think it would be worth its weight in gold, because it'd be a laugh, and it'll be quite educational at the same time. So let's get it done. Keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. He's listening. He's watching. Keep pushing it. He's watching always. He messaged me. He says, I'm always watching. So you can't get away with nothing. No, you can't. And I just saw on the comments there, I didn't see whose name it was, but Rob Mack, I spoke to him just today. We'll be out to see him as soon as we can. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Jennifer.
115 miles and she's still on the ball. Look at that.
Mega.
Plate is another good one. Every time I come back to Lincolnshire, we're going to be fitting somebody in somewhere. So there'll always be something. And at some point when I can afford it and I can cover Ben's mileage, or he can come and leave his van at our place, we'll bring Ben with us as well. But he's had a bit of a job on this year. And you have a full-time job as well.
I've got bits on, you know what I mean? We got stuff. Things are happening. Do you know what I mean? Things happening. But definitely we're we're in a good spot. We want to get a studio. We want to get a bit more of a place, a hub where we can get a bit more central and come together, do some more podcasts on a more regular basis would be the ideal scenario. But like Will said, if you're good at
sponsorship is what we need. We've got a new sponsorship deck come out. That's the good thing.
What's that?
A new now we've got the new figures for the podcast now that we're doing. We've got 20,000 views a month on YouTube, just over 20,000 downloads a month on audio, 1.8 million impressions on YouTube since February. We've done so well, and it's thanks to the listeners, the subscribers, the viewers. It's thanks to all you guys that are watching this now that are helping elevate us to where we are now and where we want to be. As I said on the end of the last podcast, we started off in a kitchen like my mum's, where I'm sat now. Then we went to the village hall. Then we've ended up in the Albert Hall. We also now we want to go for Wembley, and then we want the Maracana.
And then we're going
to
the Opera House.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want. Well, that or the MCG, which the MCG is bigger, isn't it? we can do that. And Andrew, we've thought of that, doing a live show, but the cost of putting that on, along with a couple of guests, is particularly huge. But I'll speak to. I know Roger Burnett's interested in that. And I can imagine doing a show with me and Ben and a couple of legends. I think it'd be pretty cool. I think we that would be the ultimate. I think doing a live off-track podcast live. I think with you and I on stage and a couple of legends as guests.
That at Brands Hatch with a couple of beers. That'll be interesting.
At the end of the season, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Yeah, Ryan interview with Scott Smart is always a good one. We've got a lot coming up. We did it while Ben was busy winning championships for the Oxford Products Moto Rapido Ducati team. We've got Jason O'Halloran. We've got Tommy Hill coming up in the not too distant future. These are all recorded in the can. Lee Hardy was a good one. Brad Peary was a really good one. Who else did we have? Danny Webb. That was a good chat. It was nice to get Danny as well. But I've got a bit of a new man crush, you know, Ben.
Go on in.
You know, as much as I love you and there's Greg Haynes and Matt Roberts is obviously for everybody pretty much the pinnacle. I've got a new man crush. He's ace.
Go on in.
No, not well. Stuart might come on. I don't know if he'd speak to me. He might come on.
His man crush, I don't think.
No, he's not. No, but he might come on. But I don't know. We'll see if he. Yeah,
we'll
the door's open. He needs to speak to me first.
That's all right. I'll hit him with it.
Nico Canepa.
Oh, is that your man crush?
Nico Canepa.
Sure you're not
what a guy.
Sure you're not getting mixed up with his missus?
I've not seen him, mate. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Don't know what you're on about, Dave.
No idea. I wouldn't swap her for Jennifer, that's for sure.
No, of course.
I would not. Genuinely, I wouldn't. I wouldn't swap her for Jennifer. Nico is just. See, she's already watching. Nico is a. See, look, there's your beautiful wife. Hey, Kirsty.
Hi.
And my absolutely beautiful better half with her new autumn hair.
Yes.
Looks the absolute bomb. But yeah, Nico, what a guy. He's so cool. Just the most
What
cheerful,
did you make of
happy.
this weekend at Donington Park?
I thought the weather upset it a little bit. I think it was difficult with the weather. He was really complimentary about McCann's and the bike.
What, France
Nobody knows an R1 like him.
France doesn't have rain?
No, but on a bike, on a super bike with very little electronics, it took him a little bit of a while to get used to it. I mean, he qualified fairly well, but once the rain came and he's used to proper Morelli electronics, it kind of just set him back a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we got 20 minutes with him, so we got 6 over the weekend. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. But this, mate, who's going to win the title?
Well, last time I said Glenn, because I felt like he was just
He's going to change his
he had it.
mind.
Like last time I said I was going to. Now I'm going to say Hector Barbara. That's someone said Hector Barbara last time in the comments. I think Hector's going to win it now. No, look, it has to be one of the PBM guys, doesn't it? It can't. Can it? Could it be someone else? I don't know.
Was it though?
Technically,
I would have
Christian's
said
got
that.
a
I would have
mathematical
said that
chance.
originally. But 35 points for a win at Brands Hatch, with Kyle 35 behind. You only need a whoopsie from one of them. I mean, Dave Greenslade, that's a great shout for Lee Jackson. He's 43 back. But the one thing that Lee Jackson has been this season, he's the only rider, I think, in the whole championship that's finished every race in the points. Not a single DNF to his name.
Well, you're saying he's due one?
What, due a DNF? No, I'm just complimenting him on his consistency.
Sorry, he said it like something was like attached to it.
No. I was just complimenting him on his consistency. Josh Owens for next season, I'm hopeful he'll stay where he is.
Who do you think is going to win, Dave? If we get to 100 views, I'll give my honest opinion on who I think is going to win. Oh, here's 99. Oh no, we're going to click 100. If we hold,
that was quick. Are we going to get to 100 for the first?
If we get the 100 if we get the ton for the first time, I'll tell everyone exactly, and I'll just do one answer. It'll just be the name. That's it.
I think. My heart would love to see Kyle win it because I have an awful lot of love for that kid.
You've confessed your love quite a bit tonight.
I'm feeling the love tonight. I confessed it for you right at the beginning. I don't know. He's going to be one of the red and white bikes. Mikey, there might be another coming together. Where's Lee Bob going? I don't know.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I don't know.
Your heart says Kyle, but your brain says one of the PBM guys. Flip a coin?
Yeah.
Did you say flip a coin? Is that where it's at, or has Tommy got enough in the bag?
No, I don't. No, I don't think with 7.5 points there's enough in the bag, but it's still going to take. Glenn can win 2 races and Tommy can finish second twice.
Well,
before it really counts, because there's 3. What's the gap? Thinking about it, is it 35 and 30?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, right, it's 5 points. It's extended out, so he can finish second to him once, but then he's got to beat him twice. It goes back to what I said before. Neither of them now has to win a race, but they do have to beat each other, and that's still the key to it all.
I think
it's helpful if they win a race when it's 30 points.
Yeah, I think
35 points. Sorry.
One thing I would say is Tommy obviously has got the experience on the Ducati, and he's had that all year. He's been in a title fight at Brands Hatch, and he's super fast with the Moto Rapido squad. They almost won a title there. So there's that. But then you've also got like Glenn's obviously fresh on the Ducati. He's now going to go to the circuit for the second time.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the top.
Oh, we got 101 viewers. All right, I'll finish what I'm saying and then I'll answer it. All right, I'll finish what I'm saying and I'll answer it. So Glenn's coming to Glenn. They don't miss a trick in these comments, do they? They don't miss a trick. So Glenn's going to the circuit for the second time round. So that's information, that's data, that's knowledge. And Glenn was already rapid there in the middle of the year. So taking that, I'm going to go and say I think Glenn Irwin's going to become champione.
Glenn Irwin, it is then. That's it. Are we gonna have a 50p on that?
I'll have a quid on it.
Hey mate, I'm good for paying up. Storm will tell you that.
No, listen, I'm not betting on anything unless it's paying me mortgage off. You know what I mean? Like,
I never bet anything big enough to pay my mortgage off.
I don't bet on anything.
Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Mate, you are training tomorrow,
Mhm.
so you are up early in the morning.
5 a.m. alarm is no good, is it?
The grind never stops, you know?
Yeah, I know. I do it, to be honest with you, I just love it. Like, let's be honest, like, we got it wrapped up. You know, we're in the pub last night having a pub meal, couple of beverages, and it was quite nice, to be honest. But then there's this big part of me that wants to go to Brands Hatch. Well, not this big part of me, all of me wants to go to Brands Hatch in a week or so, absolutely on top form and finish the season off with another couple of wins would be ideal. That would take us to 8 wins, the most wins out of anyone, and a pretty damn dominant way to finish the season with the number 1 plate. So I think that's the least I can do. That's what, I feel like I owe the boys that. I finished strong. We won the championship, but we're working to the end. So stick to the plan. Go and train. Get after it with Kirky Boy in the morning, and earn our bread, as they say.
There's a few people have missed your comment that it was Glenn Irwin.
Oh, yeah, I
That
picked
you
Glenn
were
Irwin, everyone.
Glenn Irwin. That's the one. And I'll tell you what, if you're going for Glenn, I'll go for Tommy. How about that?
Yeah, we'll do.
One of us is going to be right.
Honestly, I just think, like, why? I think because I think Glenn has like an unrivaled desire, and like he's obviously found inner peace with something or someone, and that might be what gets him over the line. I think he will just send it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is no doubt he will just send it. And I've seen him actually defend a few races this year where I thought, well, you did not have the pace and you just won that race. So I feel like he's capable of doing that, like getting a proper old school scrap. I think.
I think Glenn's racecraft is something that he will rely on heavily.
Yeah.
And he will go back to old school racing where he will dictate the pace like he did at Alton Park. And it won't be, he will want to, here's the way, he's going to want to win 3 races in the slowest possible time.
So,
because he'll want Kyle to mix it up. He'll want Jacko to mix it up. Plenty of people saying Leon's a dark horse. Now I think he's absolutely right. He's going to be there to pick up the people, the same as Kyle.
Yeah, I think
Not counting them out, but it doesn't look. You would
not
say
favourable.
that it's what?
Not favourable, is it? It's not.
No, it's not. It's not
like
favourable.
you said, we're just touching on that point with Glenn and the Tommy. Tommy, you watch how he does his session. He's a builder. He'll go and do the laps, and he'll build up to a lap time, and he's phenomenally fast. So if Tommy gets out in front and rides his own race, he'll be tough to beat. But I don't think it's going to happen like that. I really don't. And notoriously, when Bridewell, gets lent on a few times, gets sat up a little bit, gets mithered back into the pack, it rattles him and it can rattle his momentum. And we've seen Tommy be quite emotional with obviously the things that he says and stuff like that. And I dare say it probably translates onto track a little bit, and he might get riled up and he can't race his own race. So I think that's the reality of how it's going to be for the end of this season, because it's going to be an all-out dogfight. So that's why I'm favouring Glenn, purely for that reason, because he's Irish.
No, that's fair. Big Joe Richardson still stuck in 2011. Look,
Tommy Hill will win it. Yeah.
Everybody. No, I mean, Dave Greenside. There's a few. Yeah, but like we said the other week, Tommy should have had a hat trick at Alton Park, but he didn't. He had the pace all weekend. He's going to want to put that right for a start. And yeah, I completely agree with you. If he gets away at the front, it's going to be difficult to stop him. And Glenn will be doing everything he can to make sure he doesn't get away at the front. Plus, Kyle still thinks he's in with a chance. Plus, Jason's not out of the equation. Christian did well there and stuck it on the podium back in July. Leon's going to want to avenge race 3 at Donington. Fuck. And I think it's going to be amazing.
And I think also then you've got the guys that haven't got anything to lose, like your Ryan Vickers, who's genuinely rapid around Brands Hatch and is on a Yamaha and has got a bit between the teeth and the confidence. So they're going to, we could see a title fight coming down to the very last lap on the last corner back in 14th place. And that's the reality of it.
Sure.
They
No, it is.
They
I
could be
agree.
in 14th battling for the title. So, you know, the BSB grid is got that much depth. The bikes, the teams, everyone doing such a great job that it's tough. So, you know, I wouldn't even I'd go as far as even betting that something like that happens, like a 5th or 6th, 7th sort of on track battle for the title would be, and I think that'd be kind of cool, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not guaranteed that either one of them is going to win a race.
Exactly.
But then they have to finish in front of each other and have that little thing sticky taped to the tank to understand where everybody else is. I wish I could keep up with all these comments that come through and the questions. We'd be here for hours if we could answer all of them. But thank you, everybody, for putting your questions in and your comments in. It's difficult to keep up with them all, but we do our best.
The new point system work for you? That's a good question, to be fair, Dave. Do you like the new point system?
Yeah, I like it better than the old showdown system for sure. Yeah, I do, because it still keeps it alive in a more positive way. And rather than discounting the other 16, 17, 18 riders, whatever it was, that they were riding for the Riders' Cup, I think it just sets it nicely. It's as close to a regular championship as we're going to get. Changes in points, yeah, it hots it up a little bit. It changes the dynamic. And for me, I think it's a step in the right direction, coming away from 500 points for the podium, plus your podium credits and all that. It means that all year everybody has to ride for the points rather than riding smart for the first 8 rounds and then the championship starting at rounds 9, 10 and 11.
Yeah, because it's all a bit of a slow start normally, isn't it?
It's normally a bit after you, Claude, isn't it? But now it's been proper racing all season. So it's good. Mate, I'm gonna let you go.
What time are we on? Yeah. It's RDO.
It's the longest one yet, and we got over 100. So thank you, everybody.
We got like 105
really appreciate
or something, which is impressive. And yeah,
Yeah.
thanks everyone for the comments. Yeah, mega. Another good live action. Tune into Brands Hatch. Yeah, we can do another live after Brands or at Brands. We could even maybe do a little something crazy at Brands. Who knows?
We could. If we after Brands, it'll be either the Monday or the Wednesday, because Tuesday night we're in Manchester watching Luke Combs.
There you go.
You have no idea who that is.
He's a country singer from America, and everyone loves him. And he's big and round, and he's got a beard, and he sings a goddamn country song really good. So yeah, I know who he is.
Never been the one.
I can't remember his song.
You did? No, I can't. I've got them all on the playlist.
No, enjoy it, and I'll see you down in Brands Hatch.
Yeah, I'll see you a week on Thursday, mate. Thank you as always. We'll keep in touch, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Early notification if we do. Yeah, we came on early tonight because Ben's training in the morning, early doors. The next one we'll make sure will be at 8 o'clock. It seems to be the better time for everybody. So couple of weeks' time, we'll be here. Thank you so much. Keep supporting the podcast. Like, subscribe, share. Enjoy the shows that are coming up and the ones that we've done previously if you've missed them. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll say goodnight. Thanks, Andy Melamoto. Good to see you, mate. And thank you, Ben. You're a gentleman.
Sayonara.
Thank you, Ben.
Love your work. Cheers.
Champione. Ole, ole, ole.
See you later.
See you later, mate. Thank you, everyone. Good night.